Are you with me?
Yep.
You can see
Yes.
Flash? Okay, animate?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me show you what happened. When we were last animating, we were in this mode, right? This is not a mode that has ever been offered in Flash. And so I was, like going, wow, I don't know if I like this new timeline, right? So teaching an old dog tricks is not always that easy. Now, you might like it very well. So that's why I'm giving you a heads up. This is not a traditional timeline that we would use in Flash. It's something that they are working with, and this is what we call user experience design, UI, U experience, UX. UX and UI. And so I felt it was a little buggy, but that's another conversation. But the point to be made is the traditional Animate timeline would look more like this. So I'm over here, and I mouse down in standard. This is what it normally looks like. So I'm going to remove the motion tween, right click, remove the tween, right click, remove the tween. So now everything is removed. There is no tweens. So I'm just going to come up here. See, now this is the way I like Flash. This is what I've been done for 20 years. I like Flash. I like it this way. I know where my keyframes are. I don't need to see the shapes. I know what shape I'm on. You have to see what you like, okay? So I'm just letting you know, you're new to Flash, so your experiences are very different than mine. So you might like that other way, which is up here, to preview. So I'm going to go back to standard because to me it's a little bit easier to grab a keyframe than it was the other way. So now I'm going to start again and over because I want to show you the classic tween and I want to show you the shape tween. Okay? So that's different than the motion tween. I'm going to review the motion tween so Sydney can get his answer from his question. And then I'm going to take you a little bit deeper and further into the Flash software. So right now, just to let you know, I don't want this extended frames. So I'm going to mouse down, highlight, come over here and right click, remove the frames. Now since I have this open, and hopefully your nose is to the monitor, you can see this. As I said before, all of the editing tools that you need for the timeline is right here on that mouse down right click. So to remove the frames, that will move everything. If you had something after, like over here, it would snap it and bring it to the last edit. So that's what remove does. Now notice it also has cut frames and it also has clear frames. Three very different tasks, but are doing something similar, which is called a remove. Clear frames means that whatever I have highlighted, if I have content before it and content after it, it will simply eliminate what's in the middle and leave everything where it is on the timeline. Remove frames would move everything and bring everything and snap it. So those are the differences, and you'll notice that when you come upon it. So I just need to remove. So here's my circle. And this is, everything is turned on and turned off right now. So if I turned it on, you can swoop it. There is everything. And so I just want to work with the circle. So Sydney, what you do is you right click, mouse down, mouse down, right click, and there's a motion tween right here. Not classic tween, motion tween. And now that has been extended all the way, right? And so now that is that. Now here is that marker. That blue marker is literally your time. So if I just play this, and as you can see, I'm not seeing everything. So let's get this so I can see everything. There, now I can see everything. So this is why I like this mode better. You get more frames. So you see I can stretch it and so forth. So I'm in frame 45 right now, and it's 30 frames a second. So even though you think this is long, it's less than 2 seconds. So the marker, this blue marker again, is showing you time. So I'll come over here and I'll just move this. And when I play this, there's the move. Okay? And if I stop midstream, if I move it again, it will make a keyframe. Now notice the difference. Before it was a geometric shape here. This is the way I like to use Flash, which is the original way. This is a dot. And so I can move that dot here, or I can move that dot there. Now, if I went back to the other way, the way you saw it, you would see you don't get as much. And I have to, there you see it, now you have it. And so it's very different. So I don't like this, a preview, I like the standard. You see more frames and so forth, and that's really what I want to do when I'm working. I want to see as many frames as possible, and I want to see the dots and so forth. So question, Sydney, why I'm here. What other questions would you have?
I don't think I have any questions right now.
Okay, so that would be the motion tween. Again, if I wanted that to be a curve, let me get my tools down here. Here are my tools. Remember to open up those tools. I would take the, let me get this over here so I can work on the curve. You would take the pen tool. Wow, they changed everything again. Ugh. So you see, I'm not seeing my pen tool.
Mm-hmm.
See how I don't see my pen tool, right?
Don't we just go to a toolbar?
Come on, yeah, I do go to the toolbar, but why it changed, it might have because of what I did here. I have no idea. Anyway, it changed on me, and that is not a good thing. But anyway, let's come over here, and you can say reset. And now I have the traditional toolbar, okay? So you can drag and drop like I have here, like the drawing tool I want, and the pen tool, put it under there. But then here is that's what I want. I want this tool, the pen tool, okay? So what I did is I came up here to reset, and then it, let me see what compact does, watch. Yeah, it tightened everything up instead of a loose on there. More things than I really need. That's all I have to say. Anyway, the important part is that you can get the reset and so forth. What I was going after was that convert tool, that anchor tool, so that I can come over here and get this to be the bend that I want. And then you could use the white arrow. Remember we talked about that. The white arrow moves points. And it also lets you move the handle. So now I have a nice curve here. Be careful not to move the whole thing. You want to just get on that point and move the point. Now when I play it, I have the lovely curve. Okay? So when you do this, the important thing is to plot the straight lines first. Plot the straight lines first. Then you go to the pen tool and get the convert to make your curves at each keyframe. Okay? So now what I want to show you is a shape tween. The shape tween is what we call morphing. It will morph your shape, but you cannot do it in the scene. You can only do it in the symbol. So let's go to the square. So to get to the square, remember I'm in the scene now, so I'll save this. I like that circle. And now I'm going to double click up here. I want to get out of, I want to stay in the black arrow. I'm going to double click in the library. Double click. I am now in the symbol library. We call it the symbol library. When you see the word instance, that means a symbol. So when you get into code using Flash to do games, you'll see the word instance. Instance is talking about your symbols. So now, here we go. So you can only do shape tween in the library here. You cannot do it in the scene because that you've dragged and dropped it. And basically what that means is that with the points, you see I have the points, I can see the points. It is what we often called broken apart, break apart. So if you have something that you cannot see the points, it is because you need to do a break apart right up here. That will break it apart and give you the symbols. And that's what you need to be able to do a shape tween. So right now I'm going to right click and create an insert keyframe. So these two things are locked right now. So this is very different than the motion tween. And we'll talk more about tweens in a second. So right now I've got two keyframes, they're all the same. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and apply the shape tween. And so in doing that, notice that the color is like an orange. I like the old color. It used to be green or something like that. So this is now orange. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to right click, insert keyframe. And in that insert keyframe, I'm going to actually take my white arrow and I'm going to change this. Now, unlike the motion tween, which doesn't lock like we were talking about, if I jump to this, it keeps the keyframe. So now if I hit enter, right? It's changing it. And again, if I stretch this out, now you notice you don't get the toggles to stretch. You have to mouse down and it doesn't move the other keyframes. You have to move the keyframes. So now it's nice and slow. Now, I'm going to undo this. Notice that what happens, the points begin to change, right? So this time, I'm going to come here and I'm going to modify timeline up here to shape. I'm going to add a shape hint. And what it does is it slams the letter A. And what I want to do, I want to be sure that my snapping is on. And I'm going to move this like so to this corner. And now I jump to this and I'm going to move this to over here. And I see the snap, but for some reason, they've taken that icon away, which they should not have. So I apologize if I'm whining and complaining. This is a brand new version and they have eliminated the snap tool. Anyway, I'll find it somehow. What I'm basically showing you, and you can tell, like, you know, when you start learning software and they start changing it, a lot of studios do not change the version because it's production downtime. So for us, you're learning the brand new version. I am learning the version with you, and I'm letting you know that troubles happen and you have to figure it out. That's the important thing about learning, is figuring out the problems. But what I just showed you is what we call shape hints. And because this is an algorithm that's morphing the shape for you, you don't have to draw all the keyframes. The computer is doing it for you. And so you are locking the points. Now let's watch what happens when we see this. This is what I was expecting. So watch again. That's the morph that I was looking for, not the other way. So I'm going to put this on a loop so you can watch this. Whoop, not that much. You have to stretch this out. So it's a very different shape tween. Very different. And yes, you can change the colors and things like that, and it will morph into that. So I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to undo. And let's see if it comes back. Yeah, you see, this is what it did before. It rotated it. Now that might be better. I might like that's better than what I was thinking, right? Those are the happy accidents. But I'm letting you know you can control the actual shape very, very minutely. Now, this tool is actually in Illustrator as well. And that tool in Illustrator is called the blend tool. It is much better than the shape tween here. So that's why you learn the important software programs. So if I was doing a very complicated morphing object, I might do it in Illustrator, and Illustrator would do all the lovely in-betweens for me with great control, and I can import those keyframes into Flash. So it depends on what you're going for. That's when you decide, you know, gee, I rather do this in Illustrator, or I rather do this explosion in Photoshop. So sometimes Flash doesn't do everything for you, and you have to kind of jump into other programs. It depends on what you want to see. So that's where I have to help you to try to work within Flash. And if we can, if it's quick enough to do it in Illustrator, if it's quick enough to do it in Photoshop, we will do it, and I can walk you through it. But if it's complicated, it's not worth your time to get that result. So that's a shape tween. I'm going to show you now. So I'll keep that. I kind of like that better than my morphing. I'm going to show you a morph where you can go from a letter T to a morphing to a letter S. Any questions so far as I'm doing this? We're good? Okay, I am recording this. So we're good on that. Okay, so let us go to a new symbol. So instead of jumping, so now watch what will happen. This is my square orange. If I jump back to scene, space bar, don't forget, bring it down. I'll turn this off. Get back to here. No, I don't want that one. It's good to identify your layers here too as well. Here is my square as well. Now watch what happens when I stretch this out. What do you see?
Grows in size.
You see what I did in the library. you see what we just did here in the symbol. That was this, remember, that was a static image. So you see, whatever you change in the symbol is going to be changed in the scene. So now when I apply a motion tween to this, and I move this from one to the next, you'll get this happening. Here's control, test. You see? So now I have things moving. If I wanted to keep that square, right? Let's go back to the symbol here. I can right click, copy frames, and come over here, insert new symbol, square static, meaning it doesn't move. Come over here, right click, paste. And now I'm going to right click, remove the shape tween. Now it's back to the static. So the thing to remember is that if you take a static and you want to animate it, be sure that you right click and duplicate it. Really important to do that, because you'll have something that is just standing there, and we call that a pause in animation. It's just sitting there not doing anything. But then maybe later on it's going to animate. That's when you duplicate the static to become motion, whatever it may be. So let me, since we have some time now, let me make a new symbol. Now I'm making a new symbol. I'm going to call this letter morphing. And it is a graphic. Always remember to make your symbols graphic. Letter, come over here. Now I'm showing you the type tool. Let's get the type tool on. Make sure your property box is on. And 200 is good. And now the problem is I want to be sure that I'm in the center of the symbol. So let me just do capital S. Okay, come back to my white. And I am, there it is. So you can't see it, but my cursor is right here. So when you're in the symbol library, you don't know where you are because it's the whole stage is given to you. Here's something very critical, important to remember. Be sure you can see the cursor, crosshairs. That is the center of the symbol. Now, when you start with new symbol, not in the scene, but in the symbol itself, you want to be sure that you snap. And you can see that snap just like that. You want it to be the lower right corner of the crosshair. The mathematical algorithm to do things is better in the lower right-hand corner of that crosshair. So now I'm going to make a loop. Loop is where it is the beginning and the end, and some change happens in the middle. So now I'm going to come here to the right click, insert keyframe. I'm going to get my tool and I'm going to make this become a T, and so forth. So now I have an S, a T, and an S. That will make a loop, so it will go from one to the next. Now, in shape tween, different than motion tween, this is contained. Why is it contained? Because if I made a typo, or if I want to retype, or I want to change the typeface, I could do this at this point. But shape tween will not work unless you break it apart. So let's break it apart. So we come up here to modify, break apart, and you can kind of see a pattern. Come up here, break apart, and let's change the color. to green because it will morph from orange to green. Well, it's orange, maybe I'll go to yellow. Let's go back. Orange to green is not too pretty. Orange to yellow is very pretty. Okay, and break apart. Okay, and so now you just jump back and forth. Now, if I apply the motion tween, again, select the layer so you see all of it is selected, not just one area like that. You don't want to select just like that. You want to select over here, which is the layer, and then come over here and go right click, shape tween. And now you get that sloppy, there, see it's sticky, it's not hitting play. Come on, flash play. See, sticky. I hit enter 5 times and it didn't work. And it was because the loop was on. Okay, you see, not too good, right? Morphing, not too good. So now I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to add the hints. Shape hint, add hint. And I want the A to lock over here. It feels like it's snapping, so I'm going to assume it. Normally you get this, here they do. They put it over here, the snap tool. This is a snap tool. It used to be on the toolbar. They put it over here. Very important to have. You want it to snap to a point, and you can kind of see that. Then you jump to the S, and you lock it over here. And then you can scrub. So it's a little better. Let's play it through. Now we'll come back to the beginning. And now I'm going to add another one. Modify, shape, add shape. This time I'm going to lock it down to the foot. Not so good. Let's go back. Let's move this around to here. Let it keep the top. Much better. You see? So moving around the shape hints gives you greater control. Now that's a problem there. So I would have to add more shape hints over here. So let's add a shape hint. Not letting me do that over there. I'll come over here, add shape hint. And I'll put it up here again. And now I'm doing it for this one. Come back here, add shape hint again. Bring it over here to B. Come to the end, bring it to the B. Now the loop is working. So that tells you how important the shape hints are. And they're not that great, just to let you know. Sometimes they work like a charm. They're really good for explosions because they kind of just morph things out. So when you get psychedelic and morphing, tweens are really fun, actually. You can do some really good explosions because explosions are often abstract. So if you have a complicated, but you can do, like you can draw a lion's face, just a silhouette. I'm only talking about a silhouette, not the details. You can do a lion's face as a silhouette, make another keyframe and draw a lamb's silhouette face, and it will morph very nicely between the two. So I'll show you that when we get into drawing aspects. Right now we want to really create geometric shapes. Type is a geometric shape. And since we do have some time, I want to show you another symbol. So I'm going to save this, of course. Insert new symbol. I'm going to show you how to animate a line. So when you do a line, it's good to do a stroke. So I'll just do it black. Keep the stroke off. And you notice here, right here, I don't want a color. You'll get a breakthrough. So if you double click, you can choose your colors. But if you mouse down, you can bring this forward. This is just like Photoshop and Illustrator. So over here, you say no color. So I'm going to make a rectangle like this, and to make it perfect, you want a Shift key. Now remember, where is that cursor? There's a cursor. Now let's try this two ways. Let's try this first with the motion, and then let's try it with the shape. Okay, so if I do motion, right-click, motion tween. Aha! It doesn't let me do a motion tween when something isn't a symbol. So it will make a symbol for you. Just say OK. Come up here to Object, and you see it's called a symbol. At this point, make a point to go to your library and change that. Now you see it's a motion, it's a graphic motion clip. So you can double click and call this rectangle simple static. That is not the same as my line in motion. So if I double click my line in motion and I highlight this, now you go back to your property box and you see there is my symbol, rectangle simple static. You can actually go back to the library and you see here it's a movie clip. You can change this by right-click, Properties, and change it to a graphic symbol. Now it's a simple graphic. Now, why did I do that? Why can't you use a movie clip? Well, movie clips are great when you're creating games and buttons. And sometimes we need a movie clip for certain things in traditional 2D animation or digital animation. But it's very confusing because it will not play in your scene. And you're like, why isn't this symbol working? I animated it in the symbol. Movie clips will not play in the scene. You must do test movie, and then you see it. So we do not want to create movie clips. That's the point that I'm making. You can change the property very easily in the library like I just did. So right now we have our motion tween here. Let's move this so that when we apply the scale here, I'm going to move the white dot. Let me zoom in so you can see this. I've moved the white dot, this one, to over here. Okay? So I'm going to come back, and you notice it's still there. That's what I was checking. So when you work in animation, you always check your keyframes to be sure what you want is there. Then you play your timeline. So now what I want to do is when I bring it over to here, I'm going to stretch this. And that is how you can animate your lines. So you see, I have that. The only reason why I moved it, now if I'm going to undo this. And bring this back to the center, right? Check it here, it's in the center. Check it here, it's in the center. Now watch what happens when I try to move it. it moves it to the other side. So then I have something different. So the point to be made is that when you go back, if you have it over on the left side and you want it to move to the right, that's why you put it to the left. If you want it to move from the center, it moves it from the center. So that's the difference between the two. Again, if I moved it here, it's going to move it out. If I move it to the top, it's going to move down. If I move it to the bottom, it's going to move it up. If I move it to the center, and wait for that snap, the snap is not working. Then when I scale it, it scales it from the center. We call this the axis of orientation. So you're deciding upon what you want it to animate around the point, right? Around the axis. You can even put it ambiguously. You could put it in the center, and it rotates it. Or you can rotate it around here, and it rotates around there. But the important part is whatever you want, it's the opposite on the side. And that will keep it there for you.